So, history is currently in the making, and that is for two reasons. First of all, Riot is currently pushing out a patch that is touching numbers that have not been altered for over a decade. They also indirectly gave us an update on the new audience League is getting. We are also getting brand new features on top of that. But also, apparently, they already recorded the next dev talk. And let me tell you, if Hextech chests are not mentioned, the internet will be a battlefield. You see, all of this began with the preview of the patch 2025.s1.3. Yes, that is not your stolen IP address, that is the name of the patch. Remember, there was a bit of a reformatting. So now instead of just old school numbers, the patch literally tells you what kind of a patch, in what season, and what number it was directly in the name. So, let's have a look at why this one is such a big deal. The moment we knew that this was gonna be a bit of a special one is when we learned that there is a whole new feature in this game. At least it is a feature that some people might use. And that is a streamer mode. Now, this kind of anonymous mode is something that Riot has dealt with in other games. For example, in Valorant, you can just toggle your name off, so that in-game all the other players would see is just the name of the agent. Which is great, this prevents people from recognizing names in-game, which also prevents them from inting because they are on a team with a streamer, or just focusing down the streamer because of exposure, I guess. Simply said, it is a great feature, and that is not what we are getting in League of Legends. No, in League, the person playing the game can turn off the names, so that when your viewers are watching your stream, they don't know who you are in the game with. On top of that, I'm pretty sure they also can't see your account name, and so they can't really try to snipe you. At least, in theory. Because in practice, only the person who turns on the streamer mode will hide everything. Everyone else still sees everything normally. So this anonymous mode is not really anonymous, and besides just people stream sniping you, which to be fair, that is not too hard to do as long as you know what server the person is on, well, it also doesn't fix the biggest issue that League has. The issue where the moment you get into a game, everyone is opening op.gg and looking up the names of the other players. If Riot fixed that, then there might be a bit of a change. But as it is right now, this feature is not really that big. We'll see what happens with this in the future. But outside of this patch also got a really important preview from Frozone on Twitter, where he started by delivering a very important message about Mel. Now, quick context. Immediately after her release, Mel got into a very interesting spot. It is a champion that is overall popular because of Arcane. Her entire kit always seemed to be reasonable. It is a champion that is very easy to understand. And so, it became the first champion in a very long time that just didn't get memed. We made an entire video about that phenomenon. Like really, we have not seen such a clean release in literally years. However, after Mel launched, something was off. Because her win rate was way higher than it normally is. As in, on day 3, she was already in a positive win rate. Which is not supposed to happen. The moment a new champion comes out, there is supposed to be a bit of a time before people learn how to play that champion. Although Riot mentioned that in the case of Mel, her numbers were generally higher because she was easy to play and easy to learn. However, the champion was not that easy. And so, upon closer inspection, Riot just realized that the damage output was just too high. So, after a bit of panic, they tuned those numbers down, and now Mel stabilized. So, besides that one number hiccup, overall, Mel became a good new champion. But still, she's being banned in every game you play. Why is that? Well, Frozone actually gave us a bit of an insight on that. After the hotfix, Mel mostly stalled her win rate growth. Similar to Nico's release, also another champion with similar play against learning curve. We think her abilities are intuitive and will be learned over time. Drop the stacks, play around her W. We don't feel the need to make further balance adjustments this patch, and feel like she's in a good spot while we observe how players learn her. She is currently extremely popular, which is great, and we wanted to make her easy to play because of the influx of new and reviving players who wanted to play her from Arcane, hence the last hitting assistance, easy to use spells, and so on. So, first of all, Riot directly hinted that they are aware of Mel's one flaw. She is not really that fun to play against. That is at least until people learn how to play against her. If that ever happens. That is the main reason why Mel is still being banned. She's kinda just annoying. Not really broken though. So should there be any further changes to Mel, Riot will likely focus in that area. But on the other hand, we also learned about Mel's play rate. Yes, Mel is extremely popular. People like her. She is a good champion. So, if you go back to the one video we made, you might have noticed some comments which included me, Riot Games, and sucking it. Well, I am happy to confirm that I was right. And so, when giving credit where credit is due, maybe it really is because Riot did something well for once. But this also correlates to the overall state that League is in right now. It really feels like there was a surge of new and returning players. And you know what's cool? That's me included. Yes, I play League again. I know, incredible. At least I again know what I'm talking about when it comes to these changes. And it's great to see that Mel's numbers reflect that too. I wouldn't really say that League suddenly made a complete 180-degree turn, and that it is skyrocketing again. But the ever so slight growth is noticeable. Which is why it is very important for Riot to iron out the Blue Essence issues as well as the Hextech chests. Anyway, Frozone then continues about items. Apparently people don't really want to play AD carries, and so they are tuning support items around that. Apparently it is to give AD carries as well as top laners a bit more of agency. That is something I don't know much about, I play support all the time. Then he also mentioned bounties. We are further reducing the values of bounties when single player is trying to claw the game back while carrying on the losing team. Here we very quickly need to talk about the fact that bounties have been broken for quite a while. As in, literally, there is some kind of a bug that is just randomly giving people bounties even when they are really far behind. As in, there are times when the worst team member on the losing team just randomly gets a bounty. So now we learned that bounties are just getting dialed down in general. Maybe it is to iron out these inconsistencies. But that is where we get to the one big change. A change that is all about attack speed. A small increase to the attack speed cap to 3.0. We don't want to increase this too high, as it makes piloting champions at high attack speed too challenging. However, we need to balance this against the fantasy of systems. Typically, items paying themselves off fully with high attack speed values that don't, seemingly randomly, get capped. Yes, this is something we learned from Freak's breakdown. But apparently, over the years, there was a bit of a damage creep in League of Legends, by which they really mean that the numbers overall are just higher in general. But the physical damage kinda lagged behind because attack speed was never changed. And so while they are calling this a small increase, it is a big deal. In fact, this is a historic moment. 2.5 has been the attack speed cap of League of Legends since the beta version. That was all the way in 2009, so we are talking about a number that has not been changed for 16 years. Can you imagine being the person who wrote that number down into the code 16 years ago? And after all of this time, League is now finally raising it to 3.0. Now, why isn't it even higher? Well, that's because of orb walking. You know how the really good AD carries just click and move and click and move and click and move as they kite the enemy team? Well, this is already really hard to do with the current attack speed cap. 3.0 is gonna be nuts. I'm happy I'm playing support, I guess. Also, Frozen mentioned that they are aware of all of the systems that are linked to attack speed. So, we should all expect some things to be broken once this is live. So at the very least, it's gonna be a great day to be Kog'Maw. So next they also talk about Dragon Souls. A small rebalancing to the Dragon Souls. Cloud, despite being perceived as the weakest by the majority of players, is known as the most powerful by skilled players. Chemtech, on the other hand, is just underpowered across the board. Again, it is funny that he's mentioning a small rebalancing, because in Freak's breakdown we learned that the Cloud Soul has been the best by a lot, and that Chemtech was simply the worst by a lot. So they are just dialing them more towards the center. But interestingly enough, Freak also mentioned some new additional changes to Atakan. Specifically Voracious Atakan, who's been the source of some really funny mechanics. In case you're not sure which one that is, it is the one that is giving you the free Guardian Angel. Now sure, resurrecting after dying is one side of why some people are mad. Be it really good or really bad, that's just something a lot of people talk about. But interestingly enough, the real superpower this one gives you is inting. Yes, after a team fight, the respawn of the losing team would be so fast that they would be able to get back into the fight before the other team even recalls, and so they can pretty much guarantee a victory on the next fight. In other words, in extreme situations, instead of recalling, it would be far more efficient to just run into the enemy and die. That's how fast the respawn was. And so, in the next patch, they are changing this. So now, after you die with Voracious Atakan active, there is just gonna be a higher delay before you respawn again. Which is really all we could ask for without getting another Chemtech Drake PTSD. And lastly, there are also a bunch of changes to the domination tree, which is the one that not a lot of people use. And that's kinda it. So yes, overall, these are not the most fruitful news. But in reality, history is being made. Outside of a slightly pointless streamer mode, on one side there is a big surge of players who wanna play League of Legends because of Mel, and on the other side history is being made because attack speed is being changed for the first time in history. Although history is also being made because of the entire change of the progression system. So you know what? Riot is really changing League forever. It's not that they are turning it into a gacha game, it's that you can attack faster now.